Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Cutler. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're all doing well. I am joined today by Ileana Rojas, who will be speaking about personal branding, embracing your authentic self to stand out and thrive. Welcome, Ileana. We're
Thank
very
you.
excited to have you here today and to learn about personal branding. I'm going to give you some background information for our webinar today and then introduce Ileana today. I'm going to give you some background information and let you know what you can do to ask some questions. There will be time for questions, so please click the Ask a Question button below the video to ask your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll have time for them at the end of the presentation. Also, as a reminder, the recording will be available tomorrow. Ileana is a certified executive and career coach facilitator and keynote speaker. She is the founder of Believe Coaching and Consulting, which she started after 20 years as an executive. The mission of Believe is to inspire and guide people to create strategies and help them achieve their personal and professional goals to empower self-transformation. Her career journey spans 20 years with several executive positions in Fortune 500 companies such as P&G and Hasbro. Ileana is a specialist in global branding and marketing. Her coaching programs specialize in leadership development, diversity and inclusion practices, high-performing teamwork, resilient and agile behaviors, and personal brand development. Thank you, Ileana, for taking the time to be here with us today, and I'll let you take it away from here.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here today. And let me, okay. So that is, we had tried it before. Let me see. Okay. Are we all set? Yes. Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here today and taking time off your busy agendas on this topic that, for me, it's a very passionate one. And I want to start by sharing a little bit of what I believe is personal brand. There's a lot of different definitions, but I think in a nutshell, personal branding is how others think of us, perceive us, and talk about us. It's basically how what they say about us when we're not in the room. And why is it important to build your brand? Because either we've carefully crafted it or we haven't. All of us have a personal brand. And it's very important that we become careful and very intentional about how we build it, because in the end, it is our reputation. It's what we're known for and how people experience us. It's about bringing who we are to what we do and how we do it. And when done in a very strong and powerful way, it can create a memorable experience and can open doors to new and exciting opportunities, which we might not have thought of in the past. Bottom line, it's what you want people to believe about you. Obviously, that it is you, but as crafting it, it is what you want them to know and experience you. It is a combination of who you are and the value that you bring to the table. And this is very important because sometimes when we are not exactly clear where our value stands, that's when people then struggle also to understand the value that we bring. So when we're carefully crafting our personal brand, it's bringing both things together. Now, throughout 20 years of building brands and businesses, and now focusing them on a person and building us as a person, I believe that personal branding is made up of three things. First, it's about embracing who we are. Second, it's about elevating our voice. And third, It's about expanding our network. And the reason why, to me, these are the most important ones is obviously it starts with ourselves and knowing who we are. But once we do that, it's very important that we tell everybody else who we are, because if people don't know, then we can become the world's best kept secret. And finally, through our network and people being clear on who we are and the value that we bring to the table, then they in turn can become the echo to our voice when we're not in the room, and be able to then open up other opportunities that maybe we have never thought of because we were not present at the time. And this becomes sort of a continuous circle, because as we grow and evolve in our professional careers, then obviously our personal brand grows and evolves, and then we need to clarify and elevate our voice on how we've grown and how our value has become more important, and then continue to expand our network wherever we are growing. So this is a continuous circle that we need to keep grooming. Now, it all starts with defining our goals. And to me, this is something very important, because we need to know where we're heading. In other words, something that I work with many of my clients is thinking about, what does success look like in the future? What does success look like next year? What does success look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Because when you start building your brand, at least you need to think about, where do you want to grow? Where do you want to be? And gain that clarity. It's why answering the questions, why do you even want to have a personal brand? What do you want to accomplish from doing that, so that then you can craft a brand that helps you reach those goals, that helps you reach that success. So it's something that I would encourage all of you, if you don't have clear, to take a couple of minutes the next couple of days to think about what the success would look like a year from now or 5 years from now. The second thing that it's important to do is to survey your current brand. Like I said at the beginning, we all have a brand, whether we've carefully crafted it or not, but we all have one. So we need to be clear on, where do we stand right now? Not where do we believe we stand, but where do people that know us, where do they see us? What's the perception of our brand to them? And for this, you can do a couple of things. You can, for example, Google your name. You can send out a survey to friends and colleagues from all walks of life and ask them, what do they think of you? How do they present you when somebody asks about you? And you can find in the URL that's mentioned there, you can download a free personal brand audit that can help you with some steps and some wordings and some tools that can help you survey where your current brand is. So now that you know, or at least have a better clarity of what do you want to accomplish and where you currently are, now you can start thinking about, okay, then let's strengthen that brand. And that brand, like I said, starts with, first of all, embracing who we are. Now, we are complex individuals, each of us, and our personal brand involves a lot of different layers of who we are. It involves, what are we good at? It involves who we are, and we'll touch a little bit on that. And then what we love to do. And a combination of each of these, in the end, is who we are, because our personal brand is more than just a title on a job description, or just a title in a role that we're doing right now. We are individuals that bring a whole lot of unique value to everything that we're going to do, and we need to be clear about that. So as we think about the first piece, which is the most common one where everybody leans, is, what are your strengths, right? What are your skills? What are your talents? Your skills are those abilities that you learn through time by doing them, by either or getting knowledge or by actively doing them. And then your talents become your natural or inborn abilities. And it's very important for us to be be very knowledgeable and self-aware of what are our talents, especially, what are our strengths, especially our talents, because in many cases, and what I've seen with many clients, some of these are so second nature to us that we don't even see them as talents. We just believe that everybody can do them. But when we do that double click, we realize that it's actually something that we do really well. And why is it important to be, to know what our strengths are? And I'll just ask you to think about, if for the rest of today or the rest of this week, I ask you to do everything that you're going to do, write, be on a call, whatever you're going to do it with your non-dominant hand. I'm sure you're all going to be able to do things, but you're going to do them slower. Maybe the quality of your work is not going to be as good. It's going to take you a longer time to do things. It's going to be more challenging. It's going to take more energy for you to do things. In the end, you'll be able to do them, but the effectiveness and the productivity is not, and the quality is not going to be there. Versus when you do things with your dominant hand, you don't even think about it, right? You just go ahead and do things because you know how to do them, and you're leaning on your strength, right? So it's exactly the same thing in your regular life. When you lean on your strengths, when you do things based on your strengths, then you're going to do them so much better, and the results that you accomplish are going to be so much richer because you're leaning on your strengths, versus if you are constantly thinking and focusing on your areas of opportunity. And I'm not saying don't work on your areas of opportunity. Obviously, those are important, but it's just this shift in mindset of acknowledging what are my strengths and how can I use those to my advantage in anything that you're doing right now and that you're going to do in the future. So very important to keep both of these in mind. The other part of us, as we think about building our brand, is our passions. It's those things that we enjoy doing all the time, that we could do all day long, that will make us like jump out of bed immediately and do things with a smile on our face, that fill our heart every time. And this is important because obviously we want to keep energized. We want to keep doing things that we feel that not only energize us, that we're having an impact with others. So when you lean on your passions and when you bring those passions into everything that you do, then it shows, and you're again going to be so much better and more effective and successful. So always keep in mind, what are your passions and how do they relate to your everyday activities? And then the third thing to keep in mind is, who are you from a personality perspective and from a core values perspective, because it defines what you stand for and what's important to you. Your personality, are your behaviors, are how do you interact with others, and that's important. And each of us have a different personality, but when we know what our personality is and how that impacts our relationship with others, then we're going to be significantly more effective at those. And then our core values define how we make decisions, and because it's what's important to us. So is it integrity? Is it honesty? Is it creativity? And all of that influences how we make decisions and how we move forward in our lives. So it's very important that we have clarity on both of these. So as we bring all of these together, then we're able to identify, okay, what's our unique value? What do we bring to the table that nobody else has? Because maybe somebody has similar strengths to us, but the way that we enact on them, the way that we make decisions, the way that we interact with others, the way that we, apply them to things that we're passionate about can be significantly different. And that's where our uniqueness lies. So to identify our uniqueness, think about For example, what problems do you solve? What does normally people that you know come to you and say, can you help me with this? Because they know and they recognize that you are good at doing X or Y thing. So think about it in those terms. Another way that I like to frame it is, what is your superpower, right? We all have superpowers. But when we think about it that way, we can narrow it down to one or two things that we're really good at doing. What do we want to stand for? There are things, like I said, that we're passionate about and that we want people to think about us in that way, or for that specific industry or for that specific role. So what do we want to stand for? And finally, who do you want to help, or who do you normally help? And this is very important, because although we help we help a lot of people, normally, if you think about it, you help a specific group of people for the most part, right? Is it students in a certain area, in a certain industry, or in a certain specific thing or activity? Like who are you normally being more helpful to? And all of this will help you again, think about what your unique value is. And again, in this URL, you'll be able to take a personal brand assessment that will help you identify a little bit further where you stand in terms of your personal brand and how strong it is. It's all about knowledge and seeing and finding those gaps where you can, become even stronger. Now, once you have identified this or defined your personal brand and your either your elevator pitch or your personal brand statement that reflects this unique value, now you also need to think about, how do you elevate your voice? How do you explain to others and make it clear to others, this is who I am and this is how I can help you? Now, 6 months, 6 months before everything that we're going through, or in the past, we had these in-person relationships, right? So when you first met somebody, you had roughly around 1 to 2 minutes to introduce yourself and for somebody to have an impression about you and who you are. Now, today, in this digital environment that we're in, it really has narrowed down to maybe 4 to 5 seconds. And the reason why is because when I hear, so-and-so's name, it becomes very easy for me to Google, right, to figure out who they are, and most probably something will come up, either their social media accounts, or something will come up from them in terms of their digital footprint perspective, that I can easily click and get a very quick idea on who they are. And I'm sure we've all done it before, so it's no different for others to do it for you. So it's very important that you use all of the different means that you have to be able to interact with others and use those platforms to elevate your voice. Now, here are some examples that I normally recommend my clients and work with them. For example, if you are in a working environment, weekly meetings, either in person or in a digital environment, but we all have these weekly meetings where we regularly interact with others. And it's important that we speak up in those meetings, that we show up, and that we constantly have this consistent image of how we want them to experience us, and that will help over time build a strong brand. Be proud and celebrate accomplishments. We don't celebrate enough what we've accomplished. Normally, it gets very focused on the task at hand, or what needs to happen, or the problem that we're trying to solve, but we randomly share what we've accomplished with others, and it's important. We need to celebrate. People are not going to just know because it's going to come from somewhere. We need to enact on it and let people know. Take advantage of casual opportunities. In many cases, we get introduced to somebody, we participate in different events or in different meetings where we meet new people. Take advantage of those casual opportunities to say hi to somebody new and introduce yourself and let them know who you are and what your brand stands for. Social media, obviously now is becoming extremely important. Not that it wasn't in the past, but now it's becoming the norm through this digital environment. So make sure that all your social media and really leverage on it so that people are clear and it's consistent on how they, or what's the value that you bring. Presentations, speaking engagements, and these doesn't have to be like public speaking engagements. They can just be like there's an opportunity in your team to speak up, to present something from an event that you're doing, or from a project or an initiative that you're doing. That's a way for people to see, to get more involved in who you are, and to really acknowledge your who you are and what you stand for. And then, media out there is always good. Writing blogs, writing articles, attending podcasts, maybe build a personal website that reflects what you've accomplished throughout your career, or what you're passionate about. So all of these are great ways to elevate your voice and to portray your brand and build through it. And then the other piece was about, building your strategic network. The reality is that trying to accomplish things on your own is hard. It's not impossible, but it's definitely going to take you longer. So always make sure that you keep building on your network and that you keep building those relationships, because that will definitely help you for these people that know you in your strategic network to, echo your voice and to echo who you are, and let others know, hey, I know this person that would be a great person for you to collaborate with. So they'll be able to speak on your behalf. And there are many ways to build your strategic network. It's either within your company, your college, your industry, in different places where you start to build your network, to make sure that they can continue to build and open doors in the path that you've chosen. Join relevant organizations outside of your traditional scope of influence. If you're clear on what you're passionate about and what you want to stand for, then research what organizations have a mission that is aligned with those core values, with that mission, with those things that you're passionate about, and join them. It doesn't mean that you have to be completely and utterly actively involved in them, but just being there will help you become more aware and build your network with key people within those organizations. Networking events, obviously extremely important. Before they were in person, now there are many networking events virtually where you can, build those relationships and meet new people. Very important. Attend conferences. Now there are a lot of conferences that are virtual that maybe in the past you would not have been able to attend because of physical location. But now that most of them are virtual, it can give you great opportunity to build your network with people that maybe regularly you wouldn't have the chance. And finally, LinkedIn. I'm a huge LinkedIn fan. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how do you build on your LinkedIn. And if you haven't really used this platform, I encourage you to do it starting now. And the reason is because it is, the place where a lot of recruiters go in and find candidates for their open positions. It is a place where you can demonstrate your knowledge, your credibility, build your credibility, showcase your leadership expertise. So it's a great place to do that. It has a great job board for new opportunities. Even within your same company, you don't have to. Sometimes I found with many clients that they find jobs within their company or opportunities within their company through LinkedIn versus internally. So it's a great place to do that. It's a way to gain social proof of your skills and talents because you're showcasing them, right? And then people that know you can say, yes, this person is really great at doing this, or this is their skill or the talent or what they bring to the table. So it's a great way it's not only you claiming it, but it's for others to confirm who you are. And finally, it's a great networking and research resource. personally like involved in a lot of things, so I don't have a lot of time to read in a lot of places and search for information. But LinkedIn, by following certain groups in certain places, I'm able to get more involved in what's happening today. So I definitely encourage it. And finally, I just wanted to touch on some very important points that if you haven't thought so by now, I would encourage you to do it. Again, thinking about from a LinkedIn perspective as you build your brand. First, think about your headshot and make sure that your headshot reflects who you are and that it's clear, that it's professional, like the ones on the left. The ones on the right of your screen, they are more, casual, more for other social media platforms. This is a professional platform, so make sure that it reflects you from a professional perspective. The other thing that I would highly recommend is to have a header. On the upper left-hand side, you'll see the traditional blue header that LinkedIn provides. But if you make it a little bit more tailored to your personality, to what you're passionate about, or to reflect something of who you are, it definitely helps tell a story just from a visual perspective. So you can see 3 different examples. You can see my header. You can see one that's, a little bit more just an image, or you can see the one from Nina Vaca in the bottom. Claudia Romo Edelman in the bottom, that has her normal quote that she uses that people hear or know her for. So there's different ways to adapt your header, but it helps in those 3 seconds where people are Googling you or trying to figure out who you are. It helps add that additional perspective to your brand. From a headline perspective, I would highly recommend to write an attention-grabbing headline, to use industry keywords, to explain what it is that you do, and very importantly, to show your passion and your value in your headline, right? On the upper 2 examples. Normally, these are the traditional headlines that maybe say, I'm just your role title and the company that you work for. And that really doesn't explain to me who you are from a value perspective. It just tells me your, certain role. And when I'm looking for somebody, if I'm looking for a social media manager, a lot of them are going to come up. So obviously you want to stand out, you want to be unique, and that's why it's more important to add that attention-grabbing headline. If you just put a lot of descriptors of the activities that you do, like the one on the right, purchasing management, supply and demand planning, it tells me a little bit more of a story, but it's still just a lot of descriptors. It doesn't tell me a story. Like the ones on the bottom tell me, when you read them, you get a better idea of the person and the value that they bring. So be very mindful about your headline. Normally it's around 200 characters. So make sure that you use those 200 characters to its full extent. And finally, the profile. You have around 2,000 characters to be able to fill in your story. Use them. It's a great way for people to learn again about you. Include your elevator pitch, your unique value, who you are and what you do. Express your key accomplishments and your areas of expertise. You can use keywords that are relevant to your industry, because those are going to fall into search terms. And then use a tone that reflects your personality, right? And think about that, because it is a way for people to know who you are without having to speak directly to you. And if possible, embed media and links to the work that you've done, acknowledge things that you've accomplished in the past. Most of the things now are in digital, so make sure that you reference to them, because it'll help, again, for people to get a rounder picture of who you are. So make sure that you use that space to its full extent. And finally, have your contact information up to date. For many people, they go into LinkedIn, they open it up, and then they forget about it. And their email is incorrect, or it's their email from their previous job, or the email that they opened up 5 or 10 years ago, and it's not up to date. So it makes it very hard for, if there are potential recruiters out there, or there are people that want to contact you, they have no way to reach out to you. So always make sure that you have your most recent information there. The other thing that I would recommend is have a tailor your URL. Normally, when you open a LinkedIn account, LinkedIn assigns you a number. If you see, it normally says like your name and then like a trail of 6, 7, 8 numbers after it, which makes it difficult for people to connect with you. So there is a way to go in and tailor that and make it something that's easier for you to share. If you have your company website, if you have your personal website, different ways for people to get to know you and to reach to you. Make sure that those links are in there. And like I said, that your email is your most recent, and it is your professional email. It's not your business email or your company's email, because if you shift companies and you change companies, then obviously people are not going to be able to reach you in your new role. So make sure that there's always that professional email or way to reach you reflected there. And overall, we are living in a digital world where we have, a couple of platforms, if not all of the platforms. So be consistent. And once you have a defined personal brand of who you want to reflect, make sure that shows across every platform that you use, so that people can say, yes, as the stronger you are and the more aligned you are in each of these, the stronger your brand will be. And like I always like to close, life is not about who you once were. It's about who you are right now and the person you have the potential to be. All you have to do is believe. And I'm just referencing once more, this is the landing page. If you want to go in, remember you can get the free download for that personal brand audit and checklist, for that free assessment on how strong is your personal brand. And you can also schedule a 20-minute consultation call where we can talk a little bit more about your brand and what you can do to make it stronger every day. And I'm here. Connect with me on LinkedIn, please. I would love to, be a part of your network, and we'll continue to grow our network from here. So thank you very much, and we'll now lead it to questions.
Thank you so much, Ileana. That was so great. I really learned a lot, and I'm going to look forward to rewatching this again when I can pay total attention to your presentation, especially on the LinkedIn, because I know my LinkedIn profile is kind of bare bones, and I would like to really let it stand out, because I am in a position now where I need to network, and I think you gave us a lot of great points on that. So going to questions, because we do have a lot of them. I'm going to give you the first one here.
Sure.
In my current job, what I do well helps strengthen the brands of my leaders. How can I own that value more so that I can move forward in my career?
So it's very important that we acknowledge many of us serve others. And I think I haven't found anybody that doesn't say that they like helping others succeed, right? But it all starts with us and acknowledging how we are helping them, and really embracing that part of who we are. Because it's like when you are in that, they say in the airplanes, right? When we could all fly freely, you need to put your mask on first before you put your mask on others. So it's very important that you acknowledge and that you embrace first who you are, and think about how are you helping others be able to then build their skills or their strengths or their brand or what they're doing. Maybe think about what exactly is it that superpower that makes you be able to help them, and then embrace that to help others know that that's exactly how you can then help them.
Great. Good answer. I like that. And then another question, how many people or what demographics of our internal circle do you recommend that we send the questionnaire to see how we are seen by the outside world?
So normally I recommend to send it to 10 people from all walks of life, people that have known you for a very long time, friends from your high school days. That could be one, or people that throughout your career you've met, and also people that you interact with right now. They can be from your work, they can be family members. I would just encourage to make sure that it's from all different sectors, areas, because that will help you get a broader perspective of who you are. There will be many common threads. There's people that say, I'm very different depending on who I interact with. And that could be true. However, there's also a lot of things that we are similar. So by having that feedback from all of these people through all of those walks of life will help get us a better perspective of who we are. You're on mute, Julia.
Thank you. How do you create a personal brand if you offer two services? I am both a writer and a marketing expert offering virtual marketing team leadership to companies and agencies. When you Google my name, it comes up first as a writer. How would you reconcile the two profiles and the professional skill sets?
So I think we all are more than two hats, right? Many of us handle, manage 3-4 different hats. But so, for example, I'm on the one hand, I'm a leadership coach, but I'm also a Hispanic advocate, but I'm also a diversity and inclusion professional. So I am branding expert. I also wear many hats, but I've made sure that through everything that I do, I have it under this common umbrella of my mission is to help others reach their extraordinary. And I make sure that in everything that I do, that is supported. So either through career or executive development, I help people reach that extraordinary through the work that I do in diversity and inclusion. It's exactly the same thing, right? So find what is that common niche, that common thread of what is your talents and your unique value, that skill set that you use across all of those. And that's where you start leaning on, because that's what's going to help you in a way pivot through these different activities or roles that you do and that you deliver across your different facets of your life.
Okay. How about this next question? How do you brand yourself when you want to change careers but don't have work experience in the new career field?
So there's two things that I would strongly recommend. One is, again, going back to understanding and being very clear on our skills and our talents, especially those that are transferable, right? If you think about communication, you can be a strong communicator, or you can be a strong analytical thinker, or you can be a strong strategic thinker. You can be very good at following through processes. So go down to those specific skills and talents that are transferable across multiple paths and multiple career paths. And that's going to be very important to say, for the new career path, for the new industry, for the new role that you're trying to look for, I can use all of these things that I'm good at, all of these skills and talents and strengths that I'm good at, and apply them to this new role. And then the second thing that I would do is think about volunteer experiences that you have. We all do other things outside of our regular 9 to 5, where we also apply many of these strengths, right? So that is also a good place to start. And if you haven't already reached out to actively participating in a volunteer position in an organization that you're passionate about, I would definitely encourage you to do so, especially if it has to do with where you want your career to pivot, because that will also be something that you can use in those interviews to say, I was not formally paid for this, but I still did and accomplished all of these things or projects that can showcase how you were good at, doing those activities, those roles, those responsibilities from a volunteer perspective.
Okay. So using more of those soft skills as opposed to the technical skills to kind of bridge the gap. Okay. What is the negatives of opting out from social media? What if my true self is not using social media?
So I definitely respect many people that are not on social media. I would, and that's okay. That's fine. I think the only thing that I would ask you to do, and this happened with one of my clients, specifically for LinkedIn, I would think about LinkedIn in a different light, because LinkedIn is a professional, platform for development and for growth. It is not your just for gossip or for other things. So in the end, it is a way for people to get to know you. So I would rethink your strategy just from a LinkedIn perspective and build your brand that way. And if you still don't feel comfortable with social media, that's okay. Then what I would do is then focus on your network and build, your network in a stronger way so that people get to know you and use that as your platform to echo who you are when opportunities where you're not directly connected with come up. So definitely use and lean on those to build your brand.
Okay. And then following along those lines, do you have tips on building your personal brand on social media? Should I focus on showing my work only or bits of my personal life too?
I think it goes back to those goals, right? Why do you want to build your personal brand? If you think about what does success look like a year from now or 5 years from now, and what do I want to accomplish? Then that's really the first step. And will social media from a professional perspective help you get there, or adding your personal life be important to help you accomplish those goals? So I would start with asking the question, what is it that you want to accomplish and what does success look like? And then from there, craft, is social media from a professional perspective and highlighting my accomplishments from a professional perspective enough to help me achieve those goals, or do I need to add my personal life to it?
Okay. And I know you had quite a bit about LinkedIn. So there was a good question about LinkedIn. How would you recommend breaking the ice with people you don't know on LinkedIn, like doing cold connections?
I love that question because I struggled with it a lot in the beginning, to be honest. I'm an introvert, so reaching out to people just in general was a struggle, right? In person. So even thinking about reaching out to people in a digital platform was like, no, like I don't even know what to say. It just felt extremely uncomfortable. And so I completely hear what you're saying. What I found very important, or what I do, is I first of all, again, I go back to what is my mission? Who am I? What are my passions? What do I want to, what are my core values? What's important to me? And who do I want to build a network with, right? That have those, that share that same mission, that share those same passion, that share those same values. And that's where I start. So I follow, for example, relevant organizations. I join. LinkedIn has a ton of great groups that are built there for exactly that. So I search for those groups that are, either in the diversity and inclusion space, in the professional women space, in the Hispanic space, in professional development space. So those things, those roles that I love or that I'm passionate about, that's where I start, and I join those organizations from a group perspective, because at least now you have something in common with those people, right? With those professionals, and then you can reach out and have a more honest conversation on, we're both passionate about, for example, right now it's Hispanic Heritage Month, right? So I now have a topic to reach out to people because they're doing things in the Hispanic Heritage Month arena, or to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm passionate about that topic. So even if I don't know you, I feel confident about reaching out to you and seeing what you're doing on that arena, and ask you questions to say, hey, I saw that you did this. I want to learn more about what you do. So it is a way cold reaching out, but it's not that cold, because in a way there's something that we have in common, right? So do it in terms of things that you can find commonality, that you can find a shared passion, experience, mission with, and start the conversation that way. If you're looking to shift careers to a completely different industry, then reach out to people that are in that new industry and ask them for, I would love to learn more about your experience or in that industry, and why you like it, and what, any tips that you can share, and that could be a good way. The other thing that I would also, and that I encourage a lot of my clients to do, is to find people in their network that others are connected to, right? I do that a lot with my network. A lot of people reach out to me to say, hey, you have so-and-so in your network. I would love to connect with them. And I'm always happy to make those introductions, because in the end, it is a warmer introduction than just like trying to reach out to somebody completely out of the blue. So use those different resources to reach out, and it'll make you feel definitely more comfortable than just like clicking connect and saying, hey, I'm here, and I hope that you that you say yes to my connection, right? And be authentic. That's the other thing. Be very true, very honest, and very authentic on how you reach out to them. It's not only like, hey, I'm here and I hope that's it. Like, have I'm reaching out for this and this reason. I would love to be a part of your network because of this reason, or you've done your research. I value, the work that you're doing in so-and-so things. And I really admire you for whatever the situation. And I would love to learn more about you and be connected. When you do those more candid and authentic ways to reach out to people, it'll open the doors in a more authentic way than just like putting on a button and pressing on a button.
I love that answer. It was very well thought out. I think you've been asked that question a lot. How about one last one?
Please, we still have time.
Okay. As a small business owner, does it make sense to merge my business identity with my personal LinkedIn profile?
Yes, totally. And I apologize. Something's happening to my camera. There we go. Yes, totally. And because it is a part of who you are, right? Especially as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, our business is definitely our right and left arm. So now the only thing that I would share is be, again, very clear on what do you want to accomplish with each of those platforms, right? Sorry, this is getting overheated. Be very clear on what it is that you're trying to accomplish with both, right? For example, I have my own personal LinkedIn page or professional LinkedIn page, but I also have my business LinkedIn page, and I'm very clear and intentional on the work and how I portray myself in both, right? My business is very specific to the work that I do through my business, and on my personal perspective, or professional, I wear those other hats. So it is important to. I'm gonna continue talking, but I'm gonna disconnect this quick bit. Oh, there we go. So it is going back to those goals. Be very clear on what do you want to accomplish on one, what do you want to accomplish on both. And although you're going to show similarities on both, it is how do you speak on each of them, and what's the voice, and what's the how you're going to portray your brand through each of those. But definitely, especially as a small business owner, it's extremely important that you have both platforms alive.
Thank you for that. Well, we could wrap up if you'd like. I think we've answered so many questions today. We've gotten so much great information. For our listeners, the recording will be available for you tomorrow on the platform, so you can check it out and go back and rewatch the presentation and get the links to Ileana's website and her contact information. And I just want to thank you again so much for giving us your time and answering all these questions. And I hope that everybody has a great rest of their day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julia, for the space. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out. I'm always a click away, literally.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.